Hi there, James Savage from National Club Golf. I'm down at Leicester Golf Centre today. This is one of the fantastic Top Tracer driving ranges. You've probably seen Top Tracer technology out on when you're watching golf on the PGA Tour, you know, where you get that sort of ball flight. But I wanted to use some of this technology to do a bit of an iron comparison for you today, and that is the brand new Wilson D7. And I wanted to put it up against a club that I felt was very similar to it, and I've gone with the TaylorMade M4. So we're talking oversized, offset, really strong lofts. These are the two clubs that I felt were very, very close to each other in terms of their size, in terms of their lofts, and in terms of what they're trying to do and the golfers that they are aimed at. So like I say, we'll get set up here with the Top Tracer technology. We're going to do some nearest the pin comparisons. I've got a load of launch monitor data as well, but I'm going to go and hit some shots with both, and then I'll come back to you with some of the numbers and the conclusion on which I prefer basically out of the D7 and the M4. Okay, so a good bit of testing there with the Wilson D7 and the TaylorMade M4. You know, it's really interesting to use the Top Tracer technology there. That's just gone 168 yards, which is pretty good with a 6-iron for me. So what's the difference between the D7 and the M4 in terms of look, sound, feel, performance? Well, just from hitting and getting my initial impressions of the two clubs are that the Wilson actually, like that sound and feel, is actually a little bit nicer. I've always found this with the TaylorMade M4 that although the performance is great, it sounds and feels a bit strange, a bit sort of like hollow, a little bit dead. But the feel of the Wilson D7 is actually really, really good. But something that I did notice just from observing the ball flight, looking at the Top Tracer numbers here, and in some of my launch monitor testing previous, was that the TaylorMade M4 does fly a bit higher. Now, why is that important? And that is because these are very strong lofted clubs, and I do worry a little bit about attacking the green when you've not got that sort of descent angle to actually get the ball to stop there. So although the launch monitor numbers and the ball flight is nice and strong, like I say, with the 6-iron, it's not maybe launching as high as what the M4 is in terms of getting that ball to stop on the green. So I'm just going to carry on hitting a few more shots, see if I can beat that 168 yards that I've just hit there, and I'll come back to you with some more detailed launch monitor numbers and a little bit of a conclusion about which I think might suit your game best out of the Wilson D7 and the TaylorMade M4. Okay, so what's my conclusion having tested out the Wilson D7 6-iron against the TaylorMade M4 6-iron? Both really good clubs, both kind of doing the same thing, both really good fun to use. They're very easy to launch, they send the ball miles, and when you're testing it somewhere here like Top Trace, where you've got all that information, kind of got your ball flights and you've got your distances, the sort of long drive and your nearest the pin technologies, this is a really good environment to kind of test these sorts of clubs out. So what's the difference when it comes to launch monitor? Ball speed, really no difference here at all, sort of 115 to 118 ball speed. That's very good. Launch, now this is where I found one of the bigger differences. The Wilson was launching at average of 17.6, the TaylorMade was launching at nearer to 20. That's quite a big difference. Carry, very, very similar carry numbers, as you can see there, sort of carrying up to 170 yards, total sort of round about 180 yards, and the spin rates, they're very similar as well, sort of like mid 5,000s, which is probably a little bit lower than maybe you'd want from a 6-iron, but to say these are very strong lofted clubs, so that's why you're kind of not getting that much spin. So my verdict on which of the two clubs I prefer, I actually prefer the sound and feel of the Wilson. I think they've done a fantastic job, really nice sound and feel. The TaylorMade, say, just feels a little bit hollow and not quite as pleasing, but the very impressive thing that the TaylorMade does is just gets that high launch. It makes it actually a little bit more playable, because it's, like I say, the really nice good distance with both. The Wilson was just that little bit more penetrating, which is kind of good if you're hitting it off a tee as like a driving iron, but if you're trying to hit a green, I think you're just going to be airmailing a few greens there. So I'd say very impressed with that TaylorMade M4 at times, in terms of getting that distance but getting it at that play playable trajectory. But that sound and feel of the Wilson club was absolutely excellent, and I think that if you kind of would benefit from some of this technology, you'd maybe just learn to kind of deal with that launch. You might just have to hit a club that's maybe going to land a little bit short of the green and run on, and that's something that you might have to figure out. But both very impressive clubs. They do what they say on the tin. They go really far. They're really forgiving. They're really easy to use. So comments below if you've tested either of these two clubs out. You know, what are your thoughts and feelings? If you want any more information on the Wilson D7 range, post it below. Very good value for money product, the Wilson D7 range. They're not going to put you out of pocket too much. They're very competitive. Performance is absolutely excellent as well. So post your comments below. Give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.